Your circle will change as you accomplish your goals and level up. Everybody can't go.
And we live. Happy Wednesday and welcome to another Everybody Can't Go Convo. Y'all know every week I'm bringing you a treat, so much so that I just wanted to put it all together and say every week that I'm bringing y'all something special, somebody that makes me excited because I'm only bringing y'all the creme de la creme. And so this week I have one of my former coaches from Breathe University, Miss Tarnisha Sass. She is coming to us. She is the vision strategist coach of Sass Coaching and the author of the Finding Your Way, 7 Ways to Love and Heal Yourself book. I got mine. I'm going to make sure that y'all got the link to get yours. Life-changing information in the book. Thank you for coming on with us today. I appreciate you so much. Just thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here. So excited. Absolutely.
I'm glad. Okay, so I've given my introduction. Go ahead, introduce yourself to the people and let us know what you currently have going on in your business.
Absolutely. So, as Jessica said, my name is Tarnisha Sass. I am a vision strategist coach. I am an author. I'm also a speaker. And what I do is I help middle-aged professional women who are struggling in their career and personal setbacks to reset by finding their way through the harnessing the power of vision to achieve their fullest potential and live the life of their dreams while maintaining peace of mind. Because how many of you know that we can do this and have some peace and we don't have to be stressed out, okay? And constantly in survival mode. We can absolutely have, be, or do whatever we like, and we can do it while thriving. So
that is facts. That is all facts. Now, I love the part. I love you said that take that struggle out of there because sometimes we look. Unfortunately, some of us have been born, raised, and bred on the struggle. And diving straight into it in your book, Finding Your Way, 7 Ways to Love and Heal Yourself. You walk readers through scenarios from your own life and then use that to teach us and leave us with life lessons in self-love and healing. And I wanted to know, would you share with us what inspired you to actually write the book and share your story like to the masses so that you can help all of us out here with your story?
Absolutely. So first, let me be totally vulnerable and transparent and say I did not want to write a book at all. Okay. It was through my obedience that this book was born. And what it was about was I felt like God was saying to me, be the person you needed when you were going through it. Because as I was going through the things that I was going through, there was no one who looked like me, who talked like me. They wasn't talking about self-love. Now, I was born in 75, okay? So I'm Gen X all day. And back then, they didn't talk about self-love and healing. What we learned is get over it, just move on, get it done. And we were in consistent survival mode. And so when I got the tap that it was time to write this book, it was so tough. It was tough because when you're in this process, you have to go back and relive the things that happen along the way. But then when I started to get into it, this is what helped. I started imagining the young woman who would read it and who would say, you know what? If she walked through that, so can I. I started imagining them as just looking at when I was like bawling, crying, and it's taking me back to when I was like 16 years old and going through some of the worst times in my life. I'm gonna go right there, being pregnant at 16 years old and realizing that I'm gonna be a mom, and there was nobody there to really talk to me and really help me through all the feelings and the emotions. And I started to think to myself, what if a young lady got a hold of this book? What if a young lady got a hold of this book and then started to see, you know what, despite whatever it is I go through, I can get through it. I just have to learn to trust myself. I just have to learn to love myself. And how do I do that? Well, I take them through the steps in the book to learn exactly how to do that.
That is so powerful, and I'm so glad that you stepped out on that bravery, stepped out on that faith, and that you were obedient to that call to share your story. Even with all of the time that I've been acquainted with you and known you, there were so many bits within the book that I'm like, oh my goodness, like you've overcome so much, and seeing how the later part of your story, because we ain't close to the end yet. We got quite a few years to go before the end of your story now. But just to
Yes.
see how far you've come and from such humble beginnings, and that you were able to take those things and turn it around and become someone so positive, so influential, and someone so powerful in such a positive way, making that impact. I was just like, I was blown away. I was just like, this is amazing, because so many people would take some of those things and use it as an excuse for how they choose to be, how they live their lives, or why they can't, or really why they won't. And it really spoke to me in some of the things that we talk about within my own brands, because I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Some of this stuff is the very reason why everybody can't go with you, because some people choose to live and stay in that place as opposed to learning from it, and really like digging, clawing their way out to use that to elevate themselves, and then reach back and elevate other people. I definitely got the feeling and the vibe that you didn't just dig yourself out and then were kind of just worried about just you, that you had that heart for like reaching back. And it's like, okay, no, it's not just me. Come on, y'all about to, you getting this work. And even in your coaching style and everything.
Rebellion. Yeah, and you know what? The other thing is too is I always wanted to be my children's role model. I didn't want them to look at the TV and whoever was the famous, musician, Beyonce, Cardi, whomever it was. And no
Mhm.
shade against any of those women, because we all have a story. We've all been through things. However, I wanted my children to look in the house and say, if my mother can do it, so can I. And if my mother desires to keep getting better, then I could keep getting better. It was also wanting to be that for them. And, my story is there were 6 children. It was 3 girls and 3 boys. And so we actually, along that journey, we lost our oldest son. So I actually buried 2 sons. My first son was in 1998. I actually gave birth and he passed away right after I gave birth to him. And then my second son was actually, he was actually murdered in 2010. And my mindset when that happened was I had already decided I was going to be their role model. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to just say it how I said it. I said, no, what, devil, you think you took my son? You will not take the rest of my family. You cannot have my children. Now, yes, it is my ex-husband. However, we still maintain a great co-parenting relationship. You're not going to have my family. He's still a part of the family. You understand me? And so what that meant to me is, again, stepping up into that next level of, healing and making sure that I kept myself, grounded and rooted in, listen, you can't quit. You can't keep going. Because here's the other part to that is my sons get to live. Oh, you thought because they're not here no more that they don't get to be seen and be heard. No, every time you see me, you will hear me say Kenneth Allen McCoy. You will hear me say Sahad Moreau, which is my oldest son. Their names and their legacy will continue to speak because their mother is speaking. And so I'll never stop, and I'll never give an excuse, because that means then that they cease to exist. And you always see me touching my shoulders because I always like my babies is always here with me. And so that was really, really huge for me in continuing to be that role model, even in grief, right? To show my babies, yes, we're going to grieve, and we all grieve very differently, especially for my oldest son, because he was the glue to the kids. He was their everything. You know, when they didn't get along with me and their father, they went to their brother, okay, to tell on us like what he was going to do, okay? He could still get it with it. He passed away at 25, so he was a little bit older. And so to lose that piece, we all lost a little piece of us. But my thought pattern in that is, by any means righteous necessary, I'm going to continue to keep going so they know they can keep going too. So that was a huge part of why the obedience as well.
Mm-hmm. Look, you if you couldn't hear a pin drop before, y'all know I am rarely speechless out here. And your story is just so powerful. I'm like, OMG, I can't. Like, I got goosebumps. So when you were talking about the family journey and everything together, another one of the highlights that came up in the book, talking about that self-love, it seemed that healing is a step in the right direction, but I was like, you know what? There's this focus on the healing portion of it, but so many people overlook healing before they get to that self-love portion. It's like everybody wants to skip steps in the process. And what guidance would you give to the audience on embracing that healing, because the healing hurts? And so what guidance do you have on that?
Oh, listen, when it comes to healing is the only way. If you could take anything else, healing is the only way. And what do I mean by healing is the only way? To everything you desire, that relationship that you desire, the way you want to parent, the way you want to be in business. When you start to heal the pieces, the little girl, the little boy in you, it changes the dynamics of everything. It changes how you communicate, because here's why. You'll start to understand why you show up the way you do, why you speak the way you do, why you withdraw the way you do, right? It's all because there is a piece of you that is in there. There's something that connects that, where you like still feel that fear or that insecurity. But when you start to heal that thing, you can show up in the midst of everything and say, you know what, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. Healing is the only way. And here's what happens when people skip the step. So let's talk about it. People do skip the step, and they can, and we see it all the time with stars, right? They can achieve the big thing, they can achieve the money, but you ever notice how they're still not happy? You ever notice they're still grasping for more? You ever notice how they're still down and depressed? And we're not talking about, and I mean, want to be very clear across these airways, there are some mental health things that are diagnosed. I'm not speaking about that, but I'm speaking about people who want to skip it and think that money is going to solve everything, or having these material items is going to solve everything, and don't realize that until you get the healing, you can get everything, you can accumulate all you want, but you will destroy yourself and your relationships in the midst, because you want to skip the very thing that will take everything that you have to the next level, which is the healing. It's the only way.
That's really good. And that's what I was noticing as well, while I was walking through the 7 ways, the 7 steps in the book. I'm like, there's no way to get to the true self-love without doing the hard thing first. And there are so many steps and stages to actually healing. And sometimes, you may set out going to, and you're like, I know exactly what part of me needs to be healed. I know exactly that time from when I was 10 years old that I need to address that thing. And in addressing that thing, that uncovers something else. And that next something else uncovers something else. And, sometimes you may end up going down the rabbit hole of healing. And it's like, you know what? I'm tired of digging down this rabbit hole. Okay, that's enough. Just put the dirt back on top of it, and we're going to go ahead and pat it down. And then I'm gonna go ahead and continue to move forward. And it put me in a mind space where I started to think about how I've watched people before, where I saw them kind of throwing the dirt back on it instead of digging all the way down to bedrock and getting to the root of that thing and actually uprooting it. My mom and my grandma, they'll get a switch on us. When my mama said pull the weeds, you gotta get it and you gotta pull the whole thing up. Like, you better not just break that. You better not. If you break it off and leave the roots in the ground, she would be so upset. And I'm like, dang, there have been so many times where I've watched people do that, where they're like, okay, this is the part that is showing in my personality. This is the part that's manifesting in the way that I show up in the world. I'm gonna just go ahead and I'm gonna break the weed off at the top. And I'm gonna just leave a root because it's below the surface and everything's gonna be fine, without realizing that those roots that you left down there, it's gonna sprout up again. And it may be in a different scenario. You may have addressed it in one environment, but not in another, because you haven't really dug down and seen all of the ways that it comes out in the way that you show up. And that just really struck me as being a very integral and important part of that process. And it just really made me think how I'm like, well, if you skip over that part, there are so many folks that are not going to get to that self-love that they so crave, because we're just taking in all this information, but then we start cherry picking what we're going to apply. It's like, it's 7 ways. You go through all 7 of them. You don't just say, I don't like number 1. I'm going to pick 2, 4, and 6. That's not the directions.
Right. But they miss the fact of what self-love is. And self-love is about taking accountability. It's about saying, I love myself enough to do the hard work, right? I love myself enough to go that deep. And here's the thing, and take my time with it, because we live in a society where if I don't get it by tomorrow, then I don't want to keep doing it, right? And it's like, no, here's the thing about healing. It's a lifelong journey, the same as learning. When you cease learning, you cease existing. It's the same thing about the healing journey. It doesn't have to be where the rabbit hole is so deep and that's all you're doing. No, as you go along through life, you continue to peel back, because what you're talking about is the onion layers. You can continue to peel back the layers, because what people don't, this is the thing that a lot of folks like to run from. You hear this word all the time, triggered. Oh, they triggered me. They don't realize that sometimes in order for God to get you to touch the very spot that you don't want to touch, I have to send somebody to touch it. Because you don't want to go deep in that thing. And everybody's like, well, he triggered me. They triggered me. I need that trigger, because that trigger is a warning. It's a bell that says, hey, something's going on here. We're avoiding something here. Right? Because once you heal it and someone comes around and they touch that button, it doesn't feel the same. It's like, oh, I recognize that. Right? And it feels different. So it's understanding that we have to stop running from ourselves, and loving ourselves it's actually holding ourselves accountable. It's like, everybody thinks this, and I said this in a book, it's like, oh, I love myself, bubble baths, I get my hair done, nails done, everything did. It's like, no, that's surface, boo-boo. Loving myself means that I'm going to be accountable for my mental, emotional, financial, and spiritual, nutritional, and physical health. It's all the things. I love myself enough to work out. I love myself enough to eat the right things. I love myself enough to meditate, to clear my mind. I love myself enough to keep working on my personal and professional development. I love myself enough to see that there is a better part of me. There is a better version, and I can actually become that. I love myself enough to see it. I love myself enough to touch the trauma with the understanding that when I heal the little girl in me, when the big girl shows up, she conquers it all. That's self-love. But we miss it because we get into this loving myself, just accept me as I am. Girl, that is not, hello, can we knock on the door? That is not loving yourself. Accept you as you are. It is okay to love yourself as you are, but knowing that I'm growing into something greater. That's the difference. Not just No, I don't have to take your mess. I don't have to take your mess. Absolutely not. And then that's why everybody can't go.
Mm-hmm. That part. And that
What?
is so true. I have seen when we've made these things that were supposed to be positive and supposed to help us move forward, and they kind of get, it's like a game of telephone. And that's what reminds me of how self-love got turned into like, oh, just take me as I am. And it's like, wait, no,
No,
even as you are, you should still be growing, elevating, evolving, becoming the
yes.
best version of you, because the best you in 2024 is not the best that you were in 2014. Like, that's
No, ma'am.
stagnancy. That ain't it. That ain't it. So
No, ma'am. And it
that leads
shouldn't
me.
be. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. The lag got us. The y'all know the Wi-Fi be messing with me, y'all. The lag got us. You
The
go
Wi-Fi
ahead.
be Wi-Fiing. The Wi-Fi be Wi-Fiing. No, I love what you're saying, because I think that is a conversation that really, really needs to be had, because it's only going to help, I believe, us get better as a people, right? When we start to
Mhm.
look at it, there's something to be said for accepting that I've come a long way, and there's also something to be said that I get to be better, right? I get to have, to me, to have a better frame of mind. And it's okay. You know what I think people get afraid of? It's okay to contradict yourself. As a matter of fact, I want you to know that as you grow, you will contradict yourself, and it's okay. What I thought and what I felt back in 2014, right? 2010, I don't feel that now. That's called evolving, and that's okay. That's okay.
That's really good. That's really good. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to make a t-shirt out of that too.
Come
Because you're
on,
absolutely
t-shirts.
right. You will end up contradicting yourself, and that's one of those things that people love to throw it in your face that way, as a contradiction, not as hashtag growth.
Oh,
Because
but
it's
this
like,
is the thing I love about that, though. When they do that, you can say, "This is when you. This is why the healing is important." Because when they throw it, this is the first thing I say. Oh, thank God thank you, Jesus, for that testimony. Oh, won't He do it? Isn't that beautiful? Where you can actually tell me that, and I can sit here and say, "Well, thank God that I've changed." But that's what
mm,
healing will do to you. But when you
mhm,
unhealed and they throw it back in your face, you're mad and you're defensive. But I'm
mhm.
so grateful to know that I've evolved past that point. Isn't it beautiful? And let me tell you what happens when you do that. They don't know what to do. Especially if you're a person that sounded off, especially if because I used to pop off. I don't know about the rest of y'all. I'm a real girl, okay? My mouth was a sword, okay, against knife. So when you come differently, that's what healing will
Mm.
do for you, baby. That's why I want everybody to get here. It's so good. And when they come, you just be smiling. Oh, isn't that good? Oh, yeah. Get over here.
I feel you. I feel you. It's I notice a lot of times, I like when those contradictory statements or anything come up, I'm always really matter of factly on it, because I be thinking about it, and I'm like, huh, I did say that. Well, what changed and what made me say that? And I just straight up be like, you know what, you're right, I did say that before. I changed my mind about some few things, and now this is what I'm on. And I just be so calm,
Mhm.
and I be super matter of fact. And it's like, she okay? Yeah, I'm good. No, really good. I am really good. And my best friend, she's the one that points it out to me a lot of times. And she's like, wait, that's all you gonna say? That's all you gonna do? And I'm like, yeah, why? And she like, well, the you from like, and then insert quotable year here would have said and did da da da. Your growth is really amazing, because I just remember a time when, and I'm like, you know what? Thanks for bringing that up and pointing that out, because sometimes as we get further and further into our journey, we don't realize how far we've come because we're literally living in our new norm. And they're like, I thank her every time she brings up something like that, because I'm like, dang, you are right. I would have, even though right now I'm like, that is
Would have
completely
been like
ridiculous.
Jesus
I
and
would
flipped the
not.
table.
And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I would have. But like you said, thank God for healing and growth, and still becoming who he's designed me to be. So that leads me into my next question. As a coach, and you've been one who has held me accountable in the past, I wanted you to share with the viewers what your outlook on what accountability looks like. I've explained this to you guys before, but it's a thousand ways to light up a light bulb. I'm not going to say skin a cat because we don't want to skin the cats, but talk to us about accountability and what that looks like. And if people are singularly trying to find their own way by themselves, can that be done alone?
When I think about accountability and why accountability is so important is because most times we think we can do it alone. Now, is there parts of the healing journey that absolutely are done by yourself? Sure. But when we're talking about holding yourself accountable to the next best level of yourself, it is so important to have someone else there. Because here's why. Number one, it depends on your personality type, right? Some people are extremely hard on themselves. And when you're extremely hard on yourself, you think you're moving a needle, and most times you're not, because you're too busy beating yourself up. So having someone there to say, hey, wait a minute, there's grace through this. Let's walk through this one day at a time, spending this amount of time, right? And, we can talk through it. It helps you to move from your head to your heart, because what happens to a lot of people is they get so in their heads about things, they get stuck. So when you have someone there that's going to hold you accountable to what you said you're going to do, it actually helps you with flow, right? To me, a lot of things is energy. Okay. And and here's the thing that happens with energy gets stagnant. So sometimes you think you can do a thing by yourself, and some things you can. It just depends on what it is, right? There are I'm going to use myself an example. When it comes down to handling my business, I'm just that girl. I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to get it done. But there are some departments, like, let's say, like the love department, where I need accountability. Okay. I need somebody. Listen, you said you were going to go outside this summer. You said you were going to date this summer. I had to get me a coach to hold me accountable to actually doing that, because when it comes down to my business, I'm great. So here's what it is. Accountability is for those places where when you have to step out of your comfort zone. When you're in your comfort zone, you don't need accountability. But when you step outside of that comfort zone, that's what having someone there to say, hey, you said you're going to do X, Y, and Z, right? But also having an accountability partner, and I know you can attest to this, helps you look at things from a different perspective. Sometimes when you're working on something, you just need a shift in your perspective to help you along the way, right? Because whatever you're trying to achieve, say for example, if it's a money goal, you're trying to achieve 100 grand, right? You may be looking at it from a singular direction, but having someone in your life that can hold you accountable, you can say, okay, wait a minute, I get that, but like I said, there's 7 ways in the books. There's 7 different ways that you can go about this. So let's walk down what can be the best way for you. And then every single day, here's what accountability, let's talk about what it looks like. It's literally writing down what you want, and then doing one thing every single day towards that goal. Having someone in your life to say, hey, you said you were going to do X, Y, and Z. Why is that? Why it works is because most times people will perform and work for someone else before they will do it for themselves. That's a truth. Going to the gym. I used to teach fitness for 10 years. Okay. So most people, if they were going by themselves, they wouldn't do it. But if I said, I'm going to meet you there every day at 5, then they'll show up. They're not even showing up for them. They're showing up for me. They don't want to let me down. And so accountability to me It what it looks like is having someone there that's going to help you in your in the uncomfortable zone. And we all need that. We all need that.
That's really good. So when we're looking at, I was going through some of the pages in the book, and I see that you provided a new level of affirmation. And that reminded me of another way to hold myself accountable in like that memory jogging type of way. And what struck me about it was typically when I see affirmations, it's like write 5 I am statements and it's just simple things. But you built it out into a reaffirming structure to say it in the mirror. And I wanted to know, like, what was the thought process behind how you developed that as a like way. For me, I'm an affirmations gal. I like the affirmations. And so as far as me holding myself accountable, that is one of the ways that I know it works well for me. Because it almost becomes like my mantra, and it pops up in the back of my head exactly when I need it, when I'm having one of those moments that I'm like, oh, wait a minute. No, I can do this. I will do this. So, what was your thought process behind the affirmations the affirmation exercise that you developed?
It was understanding that the adult in me understood I am, but the little girl in me needed the to be reaffirmed. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what was happening is what I found in the affirmation world is these are the great I am. Right. I am a great mother. I am a great speaker. I am a great coach. But we were going outside, and the little girl and in us needed the validation from someone else to tell me, yeah, you are a good coach. Yeah, you are a good mom. And I wanted to stop that, because what was happening is when people don't get that affirmation or get affirmed from out, they would stop doing the thing that they wanted to do. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or or the insecurity started to creep back in. So just saying I am wasn't enough. I needed to reaffirm the little girl in me, like, listen, baby, I got this. Yes, you are. Yes, you are, because that's what we all wanted. If we're going to be real in here today, because that's the one thing for certain and two things for sure, you're going to get real from me. We all wanted that reaffirmation we wanted that affirmation from our parents. We wanted to be affirmed. We wanted to be affirmed as children. And a lot of us, and not because our parents was bad, we're not here to put anyone down. We are grown adults taking full accountability for our lives. Listen, it wasn't our fault what happened to us, but it's absolutely our responsibility to heal ourselves now. It is not our fault what happened to us as children, but it's our responsibility to heal ourselves. So this is not about our parents. However, for those of us who miss that piece, that critical, crucial piece growing up, just to hear you are beautiful, baby. You are smart. You are a go-getter, right? We miss that. So we have to now stand in the mirror, and we're not just looking at our grown adult selves. We're also looking at that little girl in us and saying, yes, you are, baby. You are enough. You are worthy. I am worthy. Yes, you are. Reaffirm her. Because when you do, when she goes outside and she goes to meet new friends, because don't listen to Drake with that no new friends. Yes, new friends will take you to new heights. Okay. So yeah, we go out there to meet those new friends, and we go out there and we find our God-given partners. That little girl won't show up all crazy because she's already affirmed. So anything they give her is just icing on the cake, and not from a a a messed up place of, yeah, I'm, like a conceited place. No, but from a place of, yes, I know. Yes, thank God. Thank God I am. I am a great partner. How do I know this? Because I looked in the mirror. One of the hardest things for women and men to do, especially those who come from trauma, to do, is to look in that mirror. And I'm talking about fully naked. Okay. All the cellulite or whatever is hanging or whatever, and say, you are beautiful. And then reaffirming that. Give your little boy or little girl in you what it needs. They need to be affirmed. and not from someone outside. That should just be overflow. Give it to yourself. Stand in that mirror. Love on you just the way you are. Every crease, every wrinkle, crimple, all of the above. Because it's beautiful. Because, and why do I know that? Because I'm talking to the masses. Why do I know it's beautiful? Because if you're still standing, that means that you got through that thing. That's the only requirement there is. That's it. That you're still standing. So that's why I came up with that, because I realized everybody was about the great I am, but they missed the critical piece. They missed the little girl that was still starving. That's why we always end up with the wrong man in the wrong place at the wrong time. Because when she gets loose, we love to be grown little girls. That's what I said about. That's who I was. I was a grown little girl until I started reaffirming her, and then she trusted me enough to say, you know what, you do make great decisions. I trust you now. I trust you. So now you can sit in front of beautiful women like Jess and have these conversations, because I've learned to affirm her, because she didn't trust anybody. You know why she didn't trust anybody? Because she didn't trust herself. She didn't know how. So I had to teach myself how to do that. And when you learn to trust yourself by affirming and reaffirming yourself, then you can show up in spaces with other beautiful, successful, women and men, and not feel intimidated or self-sabotage. And you can love on them and you can give them the best of you. A lot of us are showing up in these spaces and we're not giving them the best of ourselves. We're looking to give to get back. But when you go from this angle of affirming and reaffirming, you can just give and no worries. You already got it back. You already got it back. Yeah. That's why I came up with that.
That is so beautiful and such a powerful message. Y'all, look, rewind that, clip that. That was a whole mic drop right there. And if you are interested in learning more about those affirmation and the reaffirmation, shameless plug, go ahead and cop the book. The link is available in the show notes below. So make sure that you grab that. I know that some of you guys listening, I know you want to know. And so make sure that you cop one of these books. There have just been so many different thoughts and different things that I've done, dug through and worked through myself with working my way through the book. And it's really powerful stuff. If that self-love, if you are looking for ways to heal and need a little bit more guidance, or even if you've already traveled through some of those things and you're like, you know what? And just in case, let me go back and check, or just in case, let me see if I do need to dig a little deeper, because it's time for me to go to my next level. Make sure that you check it out. Okay. And so my last question that I have for you today is, what would you say is the most important part of creating healing, self-love, and the true transformation in our lives when we're at a point of feeling like we need to find our way?
Giving yourself grace. Give yourself grace through the process. It's not going to be easy. It's not all rainbows and unicorns. In the beginning, it may feel, and listen to my words, it may feel hard. There's emotions that's going to come up. There's going to be crying. There's going to be happiness, sadness, all these things. Give yourself grace through the process. Here's the most beautiful part. The most beautiful part is when you look back and you say, my God, what I've brought myself through. And then you reach back to other little girls and little boys that's coming up. I promise you, we talk about fulfillment. There's nothing more fulfilling in that. We want to leave a legacy. So I will ask your viewers the same thing I ask many people. How will your great grandchildren and or family members that are coming ever know that you existed? We always want to leave a legacy of money, but what would it look like to leave a legacy of healing? What would it look like to leave a legacy of love? And so for me, give yourself grace through it, and then make that plan of how you're going to it's going to all begin and end with you, not looking for your children to do it or somebody else to do it. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what you've been through. I don't care what's happening in your life right now. Give yourself grace through this process, and as you go through and as you get through, just remember to reach back. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate so much for you coming on today with us, for all of the pouring that you do from your saucer, because I know your cup is full to the brim, y'all. I tell y'all that cup is for you, and other people get to drink from the saucer. This is what it looks like in real life. When you are keeping company and speaking with it in the presence of somebody whose cup has run over and they are pouring to you from the saucer. I thank you so much for coming in with us today, sharing such a powerful message. You guys, down in the show notes, grab those links that you need so that you can find more Sass, so that you're able to check out the book and any of the other resources that you need. And with that, we will bid you all a good night. Thank you so much for coming on with me today. I truly appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Ooh, I loved it.